Most of you are born under Museveni's government, so you have never known better. Those of us who lived under better presidents like Idi Amin and Tito Okello can really attest to different things. Anyhow, I got interested in opinion polls because I was invited by the United States government in 1998 on their International Vista program to Washington, D.C., and then to many parts of America, from Texas to Ohio, from Georgia to Seattle, which is Washington State, from Colorado to New York. It was an interesting experience. And during that, I'm sure some of you have done that program. If you do the political one, you will be attached to the campaign of a senator, the campaign of a congressperson, the campaign of a mayor, and the campaign of a governor. This was in 1998 midterm gubernatorial elections. And it was very illuminating for me, and I found that Americans are so keen on polls. And the president with the greatest interest in polling in American history was Bill Clinton. He used to do opinion polls every day so that if he was going to give a statement, he's sure what the public think. And through that experience, I developed an interest in the fact that collecting data may not give you accurate information, but can give you a rough estimate of people's feelings. Now, I understand that many Ugandans want opinion polls to reflect their individual and group feelings. You know, you may belong to a group somewhere in Chikubo, and everybody there thinks Museveni is an angel, and everybody loves him. So an opinion poll comes and gives maybe 34%, and you say, this is fake. I saw NRM actually saying something like that. Or you may love Dr. Chiza Besigye to the hilt, and the bars you go to, the friends you associate with, the community in which you live, the Facebook echo chamber you are in is all pro-Besigye, and he gets 13%. And because the poll does not reflect your individual and group expectations and aspirations and beliefs, you denounce it. Or you may be a supporter of Bobby Wine, and all of a sudden he's at 23%, far above Besigye, almost double, and you feel, yes, this poll must be true. Assuming the poll said Bobby Wine has 60%. So I understand that. But you know, I come from a tradition that believes that you must always hold an opinion with a degree of skepticism. I advise each one of you to read a man called Karl Popper. He's the philosopher among the philosophers who have had a great influence on my thinking is Karl Popper. And you should read 3 of his great books. Conjectures and Refutations is the best. But then there is The Poverty of Historicism, and then there is The Open Society and Its Enemies, which you should also read. But Conjectures and Refutations is his best work. So, I am therefore aware that many people do not agree with the findings that contradict their beliefs. You cannot believe me, I am a creature of research. People may not like my opinions. I hold many biases. Each time I put numbers into a computer and I get a different result, and I feel my opinion, my strongly held faith has been challenged by the facts. I put my emotions aside, I yield to the facts. So an opinion poll is not an accurate representation of people's feelings, but it is a very good estimate of those feelings. And the electoral results and whatever it is will always be very close. Now, I know that in the Western world I've been saying opinion polls were proved wrong. It was proven that this lady was going to win, what's her name? Hillary Clinton, but Trump won. Actually, Hillary Clinton won by the popular vote. So nationally, she won by a difference of 3 million votes. That's a very big victory. And in some states where she lost, and the polls were so close, and she lost by such narrow margins, that I did not feel like the polls misled, including Brexit polls. They were showing that the people who supported Britain staying in the EU were going to win. But then, if you factor in the margin of error and the small difference, still it will give you, I have never seen a poll that said somebody has 2% in an election, and then finally that person gets 80. Has any one of you seen it? That difference. So it gives you a very good rough estimate. The second thing about it is that polls are taken at a particular moment in time. But human affairs are very contingent on so many dynamic factors. You see, this poll is taken today, but we have 24 months to go to an election. So much can change. Museveni may strip naked or get married to a Mama Mbabazi, and Ugandans don't like homosexuals, in which case they will not vote for him. Really, their opinions can change. Bobby Wine may smoke weed and dance badly, and then people may lose faith in him. We don't know what is going to happen. So I want to refer to the last poll that was done on Besigye and Museveni and Mama Mbabazi. As a participant in that election, because I traveled this whole country, it was clear to me that from December up to February, when the election was held, a momentum, a wave started taking place in Uganda in favor of Besigye. And that's how an election works. There was a wave. I tell you, if they had postponed that election for 3 weeks, I think that Museveni would have faced a threat of a second round. But there was a wave that came, I don't know where it came from, in favor of Besigye, and it seemed unstoppable. So that the election was held a bit early. If it had been postponed for 2 to 3 weeks, and that wave contained, voter turnout would have reached 80%, and at that level, or 85% from 70% of 68% we had, and at that level, Besigye would have turned the tables. So, remember that an opinion poll is carried out at a particular moment in time. It picks people's feelings at that moment. But the events are always dynamic, and people's perceptions, feelings, sentiments, anxieties also change. That's all I can say. I was asked to speak for 3 minutes. I've spoken for 2.5. Thank you for listening to me. I think he raises a legitimate concern. Really, the debate would be how much does it affect the authenticity of the final outcome. It's very difficult to determine that. I have seen polls. You can do a poll in one region for this country, and it will give you a representative sample. Am I correct? Statistically, you don't need to sample all regions. You can just poll center wherever it is, and you can still get the same result that you are looking for. So what we would be thinking about is the overrepresentation of Central by 10%. How much does it affect the result and make it unrepresentative? I don't know.
Going forward, Andrew, how the shocking thing is that for the first time in a poll, President Museveni is getting less than 50, which if elections were held...
First of all, I should tell you that is also not true. New Vision did a poll, I think in 2006, which they had to seek permission. Pike had to go to Museveni and seek permission to publish.
What did it say?
I think it gave Museveni something like 30%, because I could check.
New Vision?
Yes, it was published by New Vision. It's unbelievable. 2006, and the poll put Besigye ahead of Museveni. Besigye had 43, Museveni had about 32. After answering this question, I'll go to my phone and try to get an article I wrote in Monitor giving those results at that time, quoting a New Vision poll. But this is not the first time Museveni has scored below 50. He has ever, in a national poll, gotten something like 32% in 2006.
Okay.
And it's, by the way, there was a poll when Besigye had 43, Museveni 32, or something like that.
I thought that poll, most of them had actually gone, you know, I think beyond 40. Anyway, we shall need to find out that. But just, I need your view on if elected, none of them would actually cross the bar. How do you think the Morrisons, the NRM should be dealing with the situation? They are the ones in power currently. Let
me put it this way, that the polls that have been conducted way ahead of elections, tend to give Museveni below 50. I just need to go and assemble my data and prove that fact, that there are many polls that have been done pressing Museveni below 50. The claim by Monitor is wrong. That is one. The second thing is, you see, Museveni in this poll has 32% of Ugandans who say they are likely to vote. In fact, I'm going to place it like this. In fact, this may be a poll of Ugandans generally, not those who are likely to vote, even though they responded that way. I don't want to go into the details of why I say that. The second thing is that is Museveni's level of support. Countrywide, about 32% is the base. And what Museveni needs to do is in the campaign to add on about 5%, and then the rigging process gives him another 5%, and he's at 40. He always wins with 40% of the registered voters. 6 million votes he got in the last election, out of 15 million registered voters, is exactly 40%. In 2006, actually Museveni had gotten 37% of the registered voters. In 2011, Museveni got something like 42% of the registered voters. You should always know that Museveni has a small margin of support in Uganda below 50%. He wins because of low voter turnout. Why is there low voter turnout in Uganda? I think one of the major reasons, not the only reason, but a major reason is that Museveni has a very strong campaign manager, a man with great credibility whom Ugandans who hate Museveni believe. He's called Dr. Chiza Besigye. He tells them elections don't matter. You saw it in the polling there. There are people who said, I do not vote because I don't trust the election process. What Museveni needs is Besigye to keep campaigning that elections get rigged. Then Ugandans say, even if I vote, it won't matter. That's all he needs. If he can reduce voter turnout to about 65%, he will get 55% of 65. This Kyagulanyi, I think, has the best political strategy I have seen. Kyagulanyi argues that Museveni can be defeated, people should register and vote. And I think because of that, he can easily motivate people to show up. The question for Kyagulanyi will be, can he eat into Museveni's base? Or can he attract those 32%? In 2011, there were 42% of the Ugandans who didn't vote. Can somebody bring them into the voting ambit? Because I believe that if voter turnout reached 85%, Museveni cannot win an election.
Good. Sarah, do you, on that point?
It's a legal matter. This here they are dealing with public perception.
Yeah.
Many people believe Bobby Wine has a political party which is heading called People Power. I actually wanted to raise a different issue,
Okay.
which may challenge the poll, say 2 years from now.
Go for it. Go for
You
it.
can see Bobby Wine has 22%. If you go into the actual mechanics of an election, there are things that bring you votes, and one of them is the organization and organizational structure. So you have people on the grassroots who go knocking on the door and saying, let's go and vote. John, let's go and vote. Canada, please come with me.
Resources, financial?
Plus backed by financial resources. One of the reasons that Museveni gets an advantage of, both the NRM and the state which he uses, have that infrastructure. And you find that the opposition don't have. I have a young man who came from Rwanda, and I met him at the Frederick Ebert Foundation. He told me a powerful story, which I told him he's a refugee supporter. So he goes to Tororo in his village to vote, and he finds people at home. He actually drives around picking people. By the end of the day, he had taken 47 people in his personal car to the polling booth to vote for Besigye. They hadn't voted. And I always tell the opposition, please don't assume that everybody who supports you is going to leave the somebody may be cooking, another one may be fetching firewood, another one lazy, another one has an away match he has planned with his girlfriend, cheat on his wife. There are so many reasons that may stop a person from going, and that's why you need that extra effort to go and get people out. So, and there was a statistic here. 22% of Ugandans are undecided. So just imagine. Museveni has 32, Besigye has 8, that is 40. Kyagulanyi has 22, that is 62. The three of them actually don't have the other part, difference of 38%. The real contest is the undecided, 32%, another 22%.
They're actually 24 because there is 4% that decline to mention, and then 20 that is undecided.
So I see my friends in the opposition. You can be so excited that you have a lot of support because of the echo chamber in which you live. But the truth is that many people actually, even who may support you, may not show up to vote. And they need an extra effort. And two, there is a need to win over those people and bring them onto your side. But I get the sense that the opposition believe that they're so awesome, they're so beautiful and so loved and liked, that all they need to do is stand and then they will be voted. That's a very serious challenge, and this is not statistic.
Leandro, is that how you opposition people feel?
They have already said we are NRM, but the president should not run, so they are with you. You don't need to fight them because they are your potential allies and surrogates inside NRM.
We have internal
So
elections.
they also said they don't see a success within NRM.
Yeah, that is true. But the bottom line is this: at the village level, the DISO, the GISO, the LC1 chairman, it's very possible he will not even report your mobilization. Don't give NRM a certain degree of fanatical.
27%
27,
NRM.
exactly. In those 27% is the GISO, is the LC chairman, and so many others. And there are many other NRM people because of keen relations, family relations, and all this, who will not interfere. So you need to find means to raise money at the local level without a central treasury.
Okay.
At the village level, at the local level.
We
Please.
need to wind up. Let me
Supporters, because I am convinced that without an organizational infrastructure, first of all, the poll disproved me in the sense that I thought if you did a poll, Besigye would be far ahead of Bobby Wine because he has greater infrastructure and greater top-of-mind awareness. So I was totally surprised that in a national poll, Bobby Wine could get such a high number, almost double Besigye's. So
you think it is because of the semblance of violence being meted against him? You have
Partly.
you have always argued that Besigye 2006, when he had the biggest amount of violence meted out against him, and he seemed to get a lot of vote. Do you think that could be pushing the numbers currently for Bobi Wine?
Well, I actually believe that if Museveni beats you up, he becomes your campaign manager. That's true. But sometimes I have been wondering, what is cause and what is effect? Is Museveni's violence what gives you support? Or is your support what introduces Museveni's violence? I am confused about cause and effect. Museveni may have read the mood and he knows this guy has a lot of support. So the violence is not the one growing his brand, but it is his brand that is attracting Museveni's violence. But the point I was going to make is this, that without an effective organizational infrastructure across the country, you can have that high top-of-mind awareness, but Besigye can come ahead of Bobi Wine because he has people. You saw FDC support is higher than people power, so you may find he has organizational infrastructure in rural areas to turn up supporters to come and vote. The final thing, Komakech, this is from my friends in FDC. In the last election, we had 28,010 polling stations. You cannot believe FDC had polling agents in about only 7,000. So if you cannot have a polling agent at a polling station, I mean, one of your voters to be your polling agent at a polling station, that is a very serious problem. So before you blame the Electoral Commission, and I don't think it's possible to change the results here at the Electoral Commission, you can change them at the polling booth. Can I implore the opposition with the fact that Museveni is at 32, let's hope that he will be at 35 in 2021. But can you at least reach 95% of every polling station and ensure that you have at least have 5 people on every polling station and ensure that you have your declaration form, because those declaration forms ultimately will defeat any change. You imagine the Electoral Commission engineers.
Thank you so much. Let's clap for the lady. And